It's time for Bull Sessions, brought to you by NeCo Seed, your weekly hour-long excursion into all things agricultural, from farming to livestock, soil to seed, equipment to rural life. Now here's your hosts, Randy Baker and agronomist Brad Law.
Brad, New Year's is upon us, the second week.
Second week of 2017.
Yeah. What do you think?
Well,
Has it been good to you so far?
it's been wonderful, Randy.
It has.
I know.
I'm glad.
I've seen scary things out on the road, but it's okay.
What have you seen scary?
Well, I followed you, so I've seen a lot.
How could I be frightening?
Well, you are. And, maybe some people want to know about some scary things we saw on the road or I saw. We talked about that last week on the list. And then go on YouTube and check that out. And here's some other commentary, lists of the past, and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And
They could email us with comments, too.
They could.
At
bull@willcross.net.
That's a good job.
It's like we're plugging something.
Well,
What do we
I'm
got
glad
going?
we're in the new year. New month, new year. It's all fresh. I always look at everything. The first year is everything. We get a restart. Start over.
Okay, well, are we restarting our focus on the farmer? What do we got?
We're going to focus on the farmer. We're going to have Frank back after a while. Frank Placa, Chicago.
The guy from Chicago.
Not the Mafia.
Not Moffitt.
No.
Okay.
The one you.
Well, he needs to take you down to the docks for the way you handled your
kind of
beans.
embarrassed me last time when he was on, and you was asking him if he was in the Mafia.
Oh, yeah.
We've got, focus on the farmer. Frank LaPlaca's coming up here in a little bit. Of course, one thing that didn't change this new year is Brad's list.
Okay, and I'm going to dive right into that. I did some digging on this one. Okay, and I've got a list of some interesting farm facts or agriculturally related facts.
Interesting. We will be the judge of that.
Okay. And we're going to talk about not just growing bushels, but, we want nutrition in there. We want to get nutrient density. Because I'm all geared up. I pre-ordered a bunch of stuff for my market garden. So did you know that 60 grams of meat when fed to children daily can double their cognitive capacity?
You can't even say it.
I can't. But I looked up the kid's definition.
Double it.
I looked up the kid's definition. When we talk about cognitive, it means of, relating to, or being conscientious mental.
You can't even read it.
I can't talk. It's just going to be bad today. Conscious mental activity such as thinking, reasoning, remembering, imagining, learning words, and using language and not figurative language like some of us like to use.
Sounds like you might need to be eating the double portions of meat.
I know.
To get your cognitive skills
Cognitive.
down.
There we go. Cognitive.
A little more correct.
That was 60 grams of meat. Can double that for children.
Now, what would that be in ounces?
You had to ask me that question. We'll get back to you in the second segment with that.
Okay. What else?
Did you know water in the U.S. is about 75 cents a cubic meter?
Okay.
In Germany, it's $3 a cubic meter.
Really?
Boys, can I jump in here? I just asked Siri.
Yeah.
She says it's 60 grams is 2.12 ounces.
2.12 ounces.
So that's not too bad.
Thank you, Siri.
Yeah. Thanks, Miles. That's not going to work when we're ordering steak.
Well, you can get more than that.
2.2 ounces.
Maybe we'll do a study and we'll go and start for lunch. You'll have a salad and I will have a steak, and we'll see how our
16 ounce
or 20 ounce, big Casey strip or a big ribeye, and we'll see whose cognitive ability works better that afternoon.
But then I order the steak after the salad, correct?
No, you just have the salad only.
Oh.
So
are you saying I'm fat?
No.
Tell me more about your
my list.
Informative list.
1.3 billion tons of food in the world goes to waste each year.
That is appalling.
With 1.3 billion tons of food goes to waste each year in the world.
That's inexcusable.
Okay. Now, go back to that nutrition side. 1 in 4 children worldwide are stunted from malnutrition.
That's unacceptable as well.
Now,
can't we figure this out?
We've got food going to waste, and we got people
starving,
getting nourished. So
that don't work.
Now, here's something. We're going to go to South America.
Okay.
A Brazilian earns 2.5% more in his or her lifetime for each additional centimeter of final adult height.
They get paid by how tall they are?
Well, they studied people and the money they make and income was they did some studying back. So 2.5% more for each centimeter. Well, how big's a centimeter?
I don't know.
Well, a centimeter.
It's little.
1 inch is 2.54 centimeters.
Okay.
So most people know that I'm rather tall. And
you are.
You're not. And
But no, not.
for embarrassment, I won't say that, but I'm about 5.5 inches taller than what you are.
I think I know where you're going with this.
If we were Brazilian
Yeah.
and you were getting paid $10 an hour, I should be getting paid I should actually be getting paid $13.49.
Because you're that much taller.
I'm that much taller than you.
I see.
Or if you sold a trailer load of beans for $10,000,
Yeah.
I should get $13,492 for those same beans.
Just because you're taller.
Just because I'm taller.
I see. Well, that did you know the reason we have this new president is to do away with things like that?
Well, I don't want it to be equal. I don't want us to be paid the same. I want
we
a
can't
premium.
Have that. Yeah, you need a premium because you're taller.
I don't like this new world system you're creating.
I don't either.
Hey, I just read the facts and try to see if they relate to anything.
Where would these so-called facts even come from? Only Bradley would find those, Miles.
Well, in 1972, there was a severe drought began in African nation of Mali, M-A-L-I. And if you go back, basically a lot of the families, their bank accounts were the cattle out there, and they lost their cattle because of the drought.
Yeah.
Well, Muammar Gaddafi, the dictator from the Libyan dictator, he saw this as an opportunity and began recruiting these and training these men to be his mercenary fighters. 30 years later, when Gaddafi fell, these guys came back to where they grew up. And it destabilized the country and threatened the stability of the entire region because they weren't, they were removed, they were back. And, so it was studied that, we like to have stable food and all that. It's
everything.
The food and the nutrition of the nation, hungry people don't cause problems. If people are hungry, then they're really going to fight.
Well, sure they are.
Okay. The U.S. produces 40% of the world's corn.
Really?
40% of the world's corn.
That's a lot.
Yep.
It's almost half.
In 2015, $133.1 billion worth of American agriculture products were exported from the United States.
That's a lot.
So we sell more than what we import. So we actually have a positive balance on that. Okay. Farmers and ranchers receive only 16 cents out of every dollar spent on food at home and away from home. The rest goes for costs beyond the farm, like wages, materials, production, processing, marketing, transportation, distribution.
16
cents of every dollar.
That's what the farmer keeps.
Gets. Okay.
Really?
In 1980, farmers and ranchers received 31 cents for every dollar. So from the 80s to now, we're
declining.
Half.
Okay, that don't work well.
That don't work very well. Okay. Farm and ranch families comprise just 2% of the U.S. population.
Wow.
So
they're 58 years old, as we talked about a while back.
So, we're exporting $133.1 billion from 2% of the population.
How do we change that?
Well, I think that's pretty good for 2% of putting that much money out there.
It is. But we need to make farming great again, don't we, for this country?
One would think.
So, I don't know. You got something else? We got to take a break here in a minute. But if you can sneak something in. Okay, well, we'll come back. That wrapped it all up?
Yep.
All right.
We'll get Frank on here, and I'm going to
focus on the farmers coming up.
Well, we're going to make fun of some oopses that you had your grain marketing is what we're going to do.
Okay, we got to go. We'll be back in a minute with Bull Sessions on 680 KFEQ.